Hello, everybody. We are at Codename Goodgame, episode 11. And boy, there is news to talk about this week, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's all going to boil down to studios. What makes a good studio? What makes it somebody's favorite studio? And that is kind of something that that has happened this week between Bungie apparently losing over 200 staff. There is a bit of a concern I have about that, because there's a big studio at Xbox that just had a big expansion that's apparently going on. And I guess Avowed might be delayed, but I think that's a good thing. And I'm curious if people agree with that. But at the end of the day, it's like all studio talk that kind of boils down to, with like the over 30 studios that Xbox has, who's your favorite? Like, which is the studio that makes you, if you see that logo, you're just like, oh my gosh, kind of a thing. So this is going to be a one-man band show today. And because of that, you won't be here for maybe as long. I just felt like I wanted to get a grip of just doing the one-man band show. And I can also do this. I think if this works, yay. Like little sound effects, or just if something crazy gets said in the chat, you can make me go, NANI? Something like that. But anyway, so I hope you're having a lovely day. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for coming by. I really appreciate it. And I want to shout out, high tier patrons. Thank you very much to like Joey, Steffi, Capone. Like, you guys are awesome. Mads. I need to honestly just have a sticky note above my monitor every week to the people that support everything I do. And just thank you guys. Thank you very much. And to the people watching, like, you're freaking fantastic. Supertone, Steffi, Paragon, Game Anywhere, who's already answering Bethesda. So if you're listening to this is going to be on Spotify afterwards. You will definitely hear me interact with the chat a lot more in here, but we are going to stay focused. And in that vein, I do have a kind of question I got sent last week that I didn't hit. There was a lot of things that I got sent last week that I didn't get to hit. And I want to say before we start, Codename Goodgame, the whole point of this coming back is it to be a fun little Friday night hobby for you, a little ritual for all of us to just come together and speculate what's going on in video games today, what their future might be like, our favorite things about the past, which is like, that's going to come into that first party studio talk towards the end of this. And I don't expect these streams to do that good. This is our community moment. I will try to still have videos or maybe things pulled from these streams for discovery, but this is about the community part. So I hope you enjoy and have a good time, and share where you're watching from. Are you East Coast, West Coast, state, country? Is it nighttime for you? Is it in the morning? If you're here live, like Bobby is, sup. But because it's a community interaction thing, there was like a question last week that I didn't get to. A lot of you guys actually sent some stuff in last week that I didn't get to. And one of them was from a channel that actually you guys should check out. Very like fun robot that I am very fortunate to be insanely good friends with. But this comes in from Lo-Fi, the robot. He's like, "Hi, Tony. I'd love to know your thoughts on what makes a good game, especially since there are so many different types of games and players out there. Or what is your perfect game that doesn't exist yet?" That's a tough one. That's a tough one to answer. And people in the chat are already, whoops, sorry about that. See, we're learning. I need to mute that. Like, after that intro goes off, I need to disable that intro. I noticed I did that last time. And the audio was bad. But yeah, what makes a good game is insanely subjective. Like, there's no clear-cut answer to that question. For me, my subjective answer to this question is it needs to be fun to play. Or the story is so engrossing. Like, I guess to make it a good game, and I'm very curious on anybody else's opinions on this, it has to know what it's trying to do and focus on doing that super well. Take, there's this game that came out this year, Harold Halibut. I think that game has an awesome story, but unfortunately, it covered it with really annoying gameplay. So if you have a great story, i.e. Venba, just focus on making it a good story. You know, if you want to make a great platformer, great. Don't bog it down with like super dragged out cutscenes or anything like that. Just focus on the platformer. So I think that at the end of the day, that's what makes a good game, but there's no such thing as a perfect game. So I think just know what you were trying to make and focus on that and make sure there's nothing else. And that's just good storytelling. There's nothing else that bogs that down. So that is my answer to that first question. We'll have another question towards the end. And of course, live chats, if you feel like being part of the show, feel free to submit your questions and at me. But we have some people watching live, being Bobby from California, Supertone from good old Washington, Ayo, that's where I am too, and Steffi from Florida. All right. Oh, and Game Anywhere in Miami. Awesome. We also answered the question, which Game Anywhere. We're going to have to revisit this studio question. Because I want a lot of people to submit their answers to this question, because it's like, who's your favorite first party studio? Because I do want to tally it, but we will get to that in a moment. I do have 4 stories today that all have to do with kind of studios. I'm going to try to make all these things when I do these shows. Like, I don't want it to just be a news show either. In fact, I love feedback. If you listen to this episode, let me know, like, hey, I really like the news part. Hey, I really like the good game part. Hey, I really like just the topic of the show, or the main, like, speculation time. I'm calling it that. Speculation time, by the way. Speculation time is going to be who's your favorite first party studio. So I love feedback as the show goes on. That's why I wanted to do it solo today. But without further ado, I want to dive into some things that happened this week. For instance, Xbox is going to be at Gamescom. And they're going to be at Gamescom hard. I don't know. Should I have B-roll? Yeah, why not? I'll have B-roll. But yeah, so basically, Xbox is confirming that they are going to be at Gamescom this year, and they're going to be there in the biggest way they ever have, just like freaking last year. They did that last year. They're like, oh, it's going to be not only our biggest booth ever, it's going to be like the biggest Gamescom booth ever. And they're going to do that again. So I don't know how you one up that, but yeah, they're basically saying that they're going to have like bunches of live streams throughout the whole period, which is coming up later on this month in August. We are now in August now, folks. And they're going to have over 50 games at their booth that people can play, that they can photo shoot with, that they could talk with developers, blah, blah, blah. And that's cool. But I just wanted to highlight the things that really stand out to me, like the things that are available from them, because, the big booth, cool. Like, that's, wrong screen. That's me. Big booth, cool. Like, great. You have 50 games. There's that boom. But what I'm curious about is what Aaron Greenberg apparently is teasing at. Because Aaron Greenberg, who's the marketing guy at Xbox, he did a little tweet that he's like, hey, we're going to have 50 games there, and I'm super excited about that. But if you can't make it live, then you should make sure you watch opening night live, which is what kicks off the whole Gamescom event later on this month. And again, this is the marketing guy for Xbox, who did the same thing for the Game Awards, which they showed up. Like the last Game Awards, they showed up with Kojima's game, with Hellblade, with Blade. They knocked it out of the park with the Game Awards when they did this. So now Aaron Greenberg's going, for those not attending, I'd like to recommend you to check out the Gamescom opening night live show, as well as our Xbox at Gamescom show floor, daily broadcast live streams. What could be, I guess the question is, like, what could Xbox potentially, it's not a guarantee, but what could Xbox potentially show at Gamescom? If you're watching live, I'd love to know. The live chat in this good game is going to very much be part of the show. But I think, okay, first off, the most hype part, like the impossible possibilities, let's just say, because I think those are the funnest to talk about. That's what speculation is. It's not expectations. It's just sharing ideas. I think it'd be freaking cool if we got the Double Fine game announced or revealed, because there was a little bit of a tease at the start of the year from Double Fine, the people that created Psychonauts, that they're like, yeah, we'll have some more announcements later this year, or just we'll have more to talk about this year. But there hasn't been. So, I don't know. Like Game Anywhere is saying, facts, bring back Conquer, but that's in referring to Banjo, yeah. Like, sure, Banjo-Kazooie by a partner team, yes. But like the thing is, and it's fun to share those high hopes, but I don't also expect that. Like those are very high hopes. Like I feel like if there was crazy first party stuff to show, then they would have done that at their own show. So what I think is more believable, if they do show up at Opening Night Live, is, fun fact, there is going to be a Doom photo booth there. It's not hands-on. There's a lot of games that are going to be hands-on here, which there's a note about that I have to bring up, because there is a game that isn't hands-on, and there is one that is hands-on that's a highlight to me. But I think more realistically what we could get here is just a lot of release dates. We don't have a release date for Avowed. Actually, we do. More on that in a moment. We don't have a release date on Indiana Jones. We don't have a release date on Towerborn. Remember that game? We don't have a release on a lot of Xbox titles. So I would say this is the place to do something like that. Maybe this is the spot that they'll have like a full-blown, here's like a full trailer for Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Maybe this is where we get the release date trailer for also Starfield's expansion doesn't have a release date. I think release dates is the more believable thing. I don't think anything too crazy. But I would be pleasantly surprised. Like Paragon, who's watching live, is like the Toys R Bob game. But man, I don't know. I don't know if we saw the Toys R Bob game, I would lose my shit. That's in that area of just like massive hopes, but I'm fully not expecting that in the slightest. So I don't know what Aaron Greenberg, like, I don't know what Xbox, I feel I don't want to put my expectations high. I think the most realistic expectation that I personally have is that at Gamescom, Aaron Greenberg and the marketing team, they're like, all right, let's just pull the plug. Let's show a bunch of those Activision Blizzard games coming to Xbox. Let's do that. Let's do that whole Game Pass pull. That's the most realistic expectation that I personally hope. But I will lose my mind if it's a Toys R Bob game, Double Fine, or whatever. But I'm not expecting that at all, but it could be. And Ninja Air just joined. Thank you for saying I look fantastic. This is my comfy tank top if anybody's watching. Bobby, I personally think they are just going to focus on stuff coming in 2024. That's what I think too, Bobby. I do. Like, I don't think it's going to be anything massive, but we could. I will be very happy to be wrong. Be very happy to be wrong. So I wanted to start this on that good note because we need to talk about the elephant in the room. To which, really quick, before that, Ninja Air is like, isn't Toys R Bob still independent? Yes, they are, but their game that they're currently working on is an Xbox Game Studios game. They are partnered with Xbox to make their first game as an independent studio again. So they are doing a game for and with Xbox. So that still would count, like seeing As Dusk Falls, seeing Microsoft Flight Simulator, seeing Battletoads, seeing like whatever their game is they're doing with Xbox, it's still an Xbox game. So, but we need to talk about the elephant in the room game because I want to get some very bad news, but also interesting news out of the way. So let's just basically say there's a studio that got insanely cut down this week. But the part that a lot of people aren't aware of is that they also expanded massively before this. And of course, I am talking about the news story that somebody commented, I forgot who, but they were like, are you not going to talk about Bungie? So Bungie is on the slate of folks that are experiencing massive layoffs. But the thing is, this already happened. This already happened for Bungie. We just this year, was it this year? I feel like it was, like, start of the year. We already found out, oh, yeah, we didn't make as much money, so we have to cut some people off. Sucks. We're part of the massive layoffs. But we're back with 220 eliminations from the one and only Bungie. And that represents 17% of the studio's workforce. And I don't want to go through this whole thing. I appreciate that this is a very, very, like, just typed out thing. It wasn't just a brief, like, Twitter statement, if you will. I appreciate that. There's more on Pete Parsons, who's the CEO or the head at Bungie that we're going to point out. But the first thing I want to point out is that the studio, Bungie apparently had 1,300 staff. 1,300. To put that into context, 343 at one time was like the biggest studio that Xbox had. Bungie, the people that made Halo, now the new people that are making Halo. At one point, 343 was the biggest studio that Xbox had, and they had, like, I want to say 400 to 500 employees, and that's got trimmed down a lot over the years. But at one point, that was Xbox's biggest team. Bungie was at 1,300. That's nuts. But something I think is really good to point out, I want to shout out Dreamwalker on Twitter. I came across this, and I want to show you guys, because I don't want to go through the whole statement from Bungie, but he does do a good point out here that people aren't talking about, that essentially there is a lot of these people that are moving. 220 people did get laid off, but then an additional 150 people, another 12% of Bungie, is moving into Sony Interactive Entertainment, aka like into PlayStation's other studios or other teams or whatever. So another 155 are going into PlayStation. And then there's another bit that essentially like 75 are going to make a completely new game. Yeah, he says at the bottom here, second, we are working with PlayStation Studios leadership to spin out one of our incubation projects, an action game set in a brand new science fantasy universe, to form a new studio within PlayStation Studios to continue its promising development. So they were making a third game. They were working on Destiny. They were working on Marathon. They were working on a third, just brand new game. But that brand new game, they're no longer working on it. They're like, we're just going to spin it off to become another studio at PlayStation. So that's another thing that happened that folks aren't talking about. But they basically went from 1,300 people down to 850. And another interesting note that I want to point out, that, again, this is a great post from Dreamwalker. Apparently, before Sony got acquired by PlayStation, aka, well, more accurately, acquired by Sony, they were a bit over 900 staff. So the 2 years that after they got acquired, they scaled up hard. Makes sense. We're a first-party studio now. We have more of a budget. They scaled up to 1,300 from 900. And now they're going back down to under 900. I think that's kind of an interesting note that, like, 2 years ago, they were at 900, they went to 13, and now they're back to 9. But that's just because a lot of things are changing. So I don't know, like, to me, this is just part of things. I think I saw somebody in the chat, like Ninja Air, this isn't really extreme news. They haven't been working on anything except Destiny. Yeah, no, they're working on Marathon, they're working on another game, but now it's spent off. But I guess the main notes that I think of is that I'm shocked how big the staff was. They definitely expanded really hard when Sony came up, but even before that, 900 people. Hot damn. So, I don't know. But the last thing that we need to say is that the leadership is the one to blame. Like, Pete Parsons, I don't have the list of tweets or whatever, but there was a lot of people that were posting about Pete Parsons, who's the head at Bungie. And a lot of those ex-staff were, it's funny enough, I think I saw earlier in the chat, oh no, Sony's mismanaging, whatever. No. There's a lot of ex-staff that came out and said, hey, this is 100% a Pete Parsons thing. Like, this is like all that dude and the stuff that he did, and that's pretty much it. And I have a controversial statement. Because I've seen a lot of people point out, like, this guy bought like 23 fancy cars and spent over $2 million the past year. I am not the owner of a corporation. I am a sole proprietor of a business. But I don't imagine that whatever you spend in your miscellaneous time, I don't imagine you could just put that back into the company. Because, again, this is just, I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is just me speaking from my perspective. When you are a part of a big company, you need to report profit. And it's why I did this Game Pass math video. I realized towards the end, it's like, it's probably not about how much money Game Pass makes. It's about it gaining momentum. Gaining momentum for any company. And Bungie expanded so hard when they got acquired by PlayStation, apparently. And that was Bungie's decision. And Pete Parsons signed it off. And he got a lot of money. And he started going on a car shopping spree. Now, obviously, that money would have been greatly served going back to the employees. But if you do that, that also means that you are writing off a lot more expenses. Because guess what? Employees are the biggest expense you will pay at any company. And because of that, it's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's as simple as, why did he put those $2 million towards those employees that are now getting fired? Absolutely. No matter what, this sucks. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying, I don't know if it's as simple as just putting that money that you spend on your off time back into a company. I don't know that. If anybody here runs a corporation or knows how that stuff works, absolutely let me know if I am wrong. But even so, yeah, the whole thing just sucks. And I have one last thing that is kind of a funny note, that the day this got announced, literally the day this got announced, I am not kidding when I say the community manager at the people that make Halo today was like, hey guys, we're hiring. Brian Gerard he was the community manager at 343. He just wanted to let everybody know, hey, we're hiring. Come join us. Help create the next era of Halo games. Visit the Microsoft Career Center to learn more. And that literally was posted the day that these layoffs happened. The people that make Halo today said, hey, we're hiring. The day that the people that used to make Halo got laid off. I don't know. I find that insane. But that's that story. Take a sip of water. Yeah, I see Ninja Air in the live chat saying so many projects trying to get to where Fortnite is, but it's really difficult because it had such a massive grip on the ongoing online game market. Yeah, there's so many people trying to replicate that, and that's like a whole other conversation. That's what I wanted to talk about last week that I feel like I could have did a lot better at. But yeah, and Destiny was maybe working. Destiny probably works. They just release an expansion. Everybody buy that DLC. Maybe some outfits that people could buy. Who knows? But yeah, Supertone, trying to cap on that opportunity. I found that amazing. I found that absolutely amazing. I don't know. But that's good. Like, it's great if there's jobs. But Bungie getting laid off leads me to a concern, though. Because a lot of people saw this as good news this week. Not the Bungie layoffs, but what I'm about to say. And I'm a bit more skeptical. So one of the most high quality studios at Xbox, Playground Games, apparently has a third, they say third studio here, but like, a third building, a third team, if you will, part of their overall, company studio. They're opening up a third team, which essentially, the LinkedIn page of Playground Games, they say today Playground has 3 They used to have 2, if you didn't know. 3 world-class studios in Leamington Spa, aka they're based in the UK, if you didn't know. In our original HQ, we continue to support and grow the vibrant Horizon community. In our new studios on the other side of town, we are excited to be developing Fable, a new beginning to the legendary franchise. Now, this, initially, I thought this is really cool news. Because if you look up every game Playground Games have made, they have all been stellar. They were reviewed very well. They are one of those studios that like has almost a perfect track record. And now granted, they were only working on the Forza series for a long time, but after so much, even in the hometown of Xbox, we lost Tango Gameworks, who just produced, in my opinion, a Game of the Year contender, at least in the top 10 of 2023. And that studio got closed, making a lot of people angry. And then 2, like the others, like I can't remember, I think it's Alpha Dog got shut down, Roundhouse got moved into ZeniMax, and then we lost Arcane Austin, and then the situation with Bungie, and of course like 20,000 total layoffs in the past year or whatever like that. And it makes me wonder, is it too soon to expand like this? And I see this graphic from Clobriel, who's a really good graphic designer for Xbox stuff. And I don't know if this is true, but I would believe it if you have 3 separate spots. He's saying that there's an estimated staff of 450 at Playground Games. And do you remember what I said earlier? About 343 was once the biggest studio at Xbox. Yeah, now they're down to 280. So Playground Games is now like potentially the biggest studio that Xbox has. Now, the positive side of this, I don't want to just be doom and gloom because there is positive to this. Playground Games has had a great track record. And if Fable goes well, then this could be like Xbox's most notorious studio. If Fable goes well. And if there is a studio that's doing that, then you want them to keep doing that. You want them to keep making banger after banger. So it makes sense. This third studio is essentially going to be a support team to help make Fable and, iron out the bugs. And the other one maybe is all creative. Who knows? But I wonder if it's too soon. But then again, maybe it's like all the layoffs, all the shutdowns was to do something like this. Maybe it was to make, Playground Games have more people. Maybe it was to open this narrative studio that Activision has. Like they basically traded out Toys for Bob for a new studio. There's another thing going on right now. I don't know. I'm not really going to cover this here, but like there's a new team at Blizzard apparently being formed by some people from King. And so it's like there's new teams and expansions, and 343 is hiring to work on Halo more. So it's like Xbox is expanding after condensing down. And I wonder if it's maybe because they want to expand the things that are making money. Playground Games, I don't know if you've checked, but Forza Horizon 5 is still doing fantastic. It's like one of the most played games from Xbox. And maybe that's why. It's like if a lot of people are playing your game, we want you to keep doing what you're doing. So, and I think that's why 343, like they gave them that chance and it got immensely cut down. So I don't know. If you want to make your people proud, I guess you get a lot of people on your game. I'm just looking at the chat for a moment. Paragon, so if Xbox wants to show that the closure of Tango isn't the norm, this is how. Yeah, like, I don't know, like the whole thing, I guess this is their way of showing that it's like we're not just closing teams, we're still trying to expand, but then that makes it confusing, because it's like if you expand these studios, then how come you couldn't keep Tango? It's like that's almost a good question that I wonder that I ask you is like, if Xbox Would you have rather have them expanded Playground Games and opened up this new team within Blizzard and everything, or would you rather have them put all that money to just keeping Tango? I have a feeling there's a lot we don't know about Tango. I feel like that move was so weird of them, but we shall see. And my final story that I'm actually very excited to talk to you about before we settle that question: who is our favorite team at Xbox? There was a lot of talk, I think it was yesterday, that Avowed is going to be pushed to 2025. This came from Tom Warren at The Verge. His sources were basically telling him, I don't have the B-roll up, but his sources were telling him that basically he was talking to people at Xbox and Obsidian, and apparently Avowed, which is the next like Obsidian release. Sorry, I'm just making myself in focus. Avowed being the next Obsidian release, apparently the publishing team and Obsidian were like, we need to give this game more breathing room. The game's fine. We have it. It's like almost ready to go. It's hitting that finish line, but it is being released in a crazy place. So many other things are in that back end of the year. We need this game to give it room to grow and to be noticed and to get acclaimed. And I personally thought that was a great idea if that was going to be the case. And it seemed like, from what I was hearing, a lot of other people and a lot of other fans were like, yeah, push it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seems like Tom Warren was right. So this comes directly from Xbox. So head of the horse, whatever. So many games coming. As such, we're moving Avowed to February 18th. 2025 to give players backlogs some breathing room. And they shout this out again. Stay tuned for more from our games across Activision Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios at Gamescom, including our August 23rd live stream for a look at Avowed. So, and I appreciate that they put up this graphic. You know, they put up this graphic of these are all of our first party things. That are like this is how you do what, you know, like the whole, here's the Game Pass rising, you know, like our prices are rising, and it's just the bad news, and we're not going to remind you of the good of us doing that. But this, however, instead of just announcing a delay, they give insanely good reason. That is, look, guys, this is all of our first party stuff coming out within the next like 18 months. You got World of Warcraft, The War Within, Age of Mythology Retold, Aura History Untold, Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Starfield Shattered Space, Towerborn, Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom the Dark Ages, Fable, and more. NANI? Like, all right, you're excused. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because here's the thing, like Games Anywhere says in the live chat, love the move. It gives more time to polish the game more. Like, did it need the time to polish? Sure. Maybe. I have a feeling no. I have a feeling they could have released it just fine. But, and I don't have the statement in front of me, but somebody else gathered that apparently Obsidian is already like releasing, like, sorry, not releasing. They're already working on another game now. They have another team working on another game. So it's like, don't just assume that they're going to be working on Avowed until this game releases. Maybe they'll be easing people off of it and they're just going to leave the team to polish it up, you know, and have those people move to whatever this next mystery game is, Outer Worlds 2, etc. So, but the thing that I really like about this is when I look at these games, the third quarter of this year is stupid. I say this as an Xbox guy. The third quarter of 2024 is dumb. How could you say that when you see Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Microsoft Flight Sim, Indiana Jones, Starfield? What are you talking about? It's too much. I'm not saying that in like a hype way. I'm saying that in like a logistical sense. Do you remember the tragedy that was Titanfall 2? A game that released sandwiched in between Battlefield 1 and Gears of War 4? You don't do that. Like, EA released Battlefield 1 right alongside Gears of War 4. That was their choice. Cool. But they chose to release another shooter in that same time period, and look what happened to it. Titanfall 2 is known as like one of the best first-person shooter campaigns ever. I will fight for that till I agree. But it died because it was buried amongst those 3 shooters. So when you're a Game Pass subscriber, you subscribe to play first-party Xbox games and, of course, other partner things. Like, we haven't even talked about, like Stalker 2 or Replaced or whatever the hell else is coming towards the end of 2024. And not only do you have those partnered games to consider, you have all these other things. So if you want these games to stand out better, then you need to spread your goddamn releases. Right? So, like, them saying specifically Avowed is coming out in February 2025, I love that. I love that, dude. Because I hope, in fact, if I look at this list, I'm actually okay with one of these moving. Now, granted, South of Midnight, Doom, and Fable, that's 2025. But everything else here, I'm okay with something moving. Shattered Space and Diablo 4, those are expansions. Same with The War Within. So the games, the full actual titles that are releasing towards the end of 2020, the last quarter, September onwards, is Age of Mythology, Aura, Call of Duty, Flight Sim, Indiana Jones, and Towerborn. So that is 6 games in 3 months. No. I'm done with Xbox backloading their years. Just have something in February, have something in April, have something in June, have something in August, have something in October. Just make it an every other month cadence, and people are going to stay subscribed to your service instead of like people like, let me know if you're in the chat, if you're watching the replay, I would love to know. Have you subscribed to Game Pass to just play one game and then dip out? Have you done that? I know I've stuck with Game Pass the whole time, but if I was a conservative person, I've done that with like Stars on demand. I've done that with Disney Plus. I've done that with other subscriptions. So if you want to make people not do that, spread your shit out. Spread it out. Make people feel like there's constantly something that they are missing every month, and that's all you got to do. So I think this is an amazing move by Xbox. Delaying Avowed to February 18th, 2025. Looking at the chat. Wait. What is there? I'm seeing the chat say hell to the no and no. What did I say? Ninja, I just want Xbox to be American, British, and other Asian studios, PlayStation. Yeah, no, I agree, Ninja. I want the Japanese studios, which we'll talk about in a moment. Yeah, Paragon brings up a good point. All of that, I'm just getting into Modern Warfare 3, which is stupid, by the way. I hate that they dropped only the 3rd game. We talked about that last week, but, and one more. Steffi, I've done that with all my subscriptions, including Game Pass. Exactly. Ninja, do the Netflix thing, man. Netflix too! Like Kimi ni Todoke Season 3 just came out. Shout out to my anime peeps. And like, look, I don't use Netflix, but I have to be on there in August because Kimi ni Todoke is getting on there. Exactly. So, did we just subscribe for only one game? Oh, I mean, okay, I got you for one game. Yeah. But you get what I mean, like the subscription bouncing, is there a term for that? But anyway, but there, like, even if we don't do that, I guarantee you there are people that do that. I literally just went out to dinner last weekend after I watched Deadpool 3. It was fun. And literally somebody said that, like, I think I'm going to get on Game Pass to play Kinutsugami, and then I'll dip. People do it. People do it. And after all this, so Xbox is showing up at Gamescom. Bungie, they went up 500, went down 500, whatever. Should be laughing at that. It does suck. It does. And Avowed getting delayed. Playground Games expanding. I ask the chat, especially because I see a lot of people that are here live. There's a good handful that say, like, I just stay subscribed to Game Pass to play multiple games. Cool. I'm hoping as you did that, you've gotten to know the first-party studios at Xbox. Because now I ask you the question. I can get this graphic ready. Because now I ask you the question. If I can switch. There we go. Who is your favorite Xbox studio? They have like 35 or something teams. It's actually not 30. It's more like they had 27.5 studios after the shutdown, and it's kind of more like 29.5 now because they made a new team within Activision. They have a new team at Blizzard from the King people. So I ask, of all these people on screen, who, if you see their logo, like you just see an announcement trailer or a gameplay trailer, whatever, and you see their logo, you're just like, oh my God, I am so stoked to play that game. This is actually a video topic I would love to hit later on or have like a full on panel with, because Xbox has like so many studios, as you can see on screen here. Some of them are gone now. This is an outdated graphic. This is not like current. You see like Toys R Bob on here and Tango Gameworks and stuff. Like, things have changed, but they still have over 24 studios. And I wanted to just kind of ask and wonder myself too. Because if you asked me this question like 10 years ago in 2014, when they only had 5 studios, I would have easily said 343 Industries. Just because of the surface level, I love Halo, therefore I love 343. However, that has drastically changed now, and 343 is not what they used to be or whatever. And so I now question, what is my own favorite Xbox game studio now? Now that like it's not just those 5 studios and a team carrying Halo, now there's 343 who's kind of had tipsy-turvy stuff that now their logo doesn't instill super confidence, even though I'm much more forgiving of 343 than other people. Personally, I think they did a great job with Infinite, but that's a different story. But the question is, of all the studios Xbox has now, being nearly 30, which are the logos that I'm going to be like, damn, I am ready for that and want to play that day one? I knew for sure what my obvious one was. But first off, the live chat, I see many saying, so I see Bobby saying, I love anything Bethesda, to be honest. Asaya says, Playground Games. Paragon lists a bunch. I really can't choose between those 5, saying ID Software, Obsidian, Treyarch, Playground, or the Coalition. That is a lot of shooters, my friend, aside from Obsidian. And Ninja Air, I just want my damn Candy Crush. So King, okay. That's probably a joke. I mean, hey, if it's legit, like, I know there are King fans out there. But Devin says probably Rare, even though most of my favorites from them are from before they were acquired by Xbox. That's a good point. See, and that's the thing. Like, things shifted. Like 10 years ago, you asked me this question, I would have easily said 343. But, or maybe even Rare too. But 10 years later, it's a little bit different. So for me, if I had to say my top 3, number 1, I say back up. Number 3 is like, this is the studio that I have the most faith in. I have a feeling they just won't be able to make a bad game. They won't even be able to make an okay game. Every game they're going to make going forward, I have a feeling is going to be good to great, and I am probably going to be really into it. And that would be between Playground Games and Obsidian. I think Playground Games and Obsidian are the two like golden boys of Xbox, but I would side to Playground Games. I have a feeling their games are going to be a bit more my speed, no pun intended. Whereas Obsidian, I'm just not much of an RPG guy. And number 2 would be id. I have to swear here, I fucking love Doom. I didn't used to, but now I do. And anything id makes going forward, whether it's Doom, whether it's Quake, whether they want to make something else, I don't care. I am a Shooter MacGruber guy. I love me id so much. If I see, in fact, I almost wished that Doom Dark Ages trailer, they actually started off with like just the id. I was like, I would have lost my shit. I already did lose my shit, but you know. So id's probably my number 2, which is nuts. Like that is my studio I actually like more than 343 currently. But my number 1, when I think about this, like my number 1 from PlayStation FYI is Insomniac. If I see the Insomniac logo, I'm ready. From Xbox, if I see that Double Fine logo, I need to play it. And this is what I mean about the 10 years ago comment. Because when Xbox first acquired Double Fine, I had no idea who the hell they were. I had no idea. Like, I've seen them. They were on my peripheral, but I didn't really know them. But then I played Psychonauts. And I was like, this game is actually stupidly quirky, fun, really good level design. Yeah, it's old. It was for like the original Xbox. Yeah, it's dated, but I love this. And then I realized, oh, these are the guys that made freaking Brutal Legend. I love that game too. And then I played Psychonauts 2, and I'm just like, this game has some of the best level design I have ever seen. And I think the main reason Double Fine is probably my I want to see, if they I tell you what, if I hear about the layoffs or anything at that studio, even unanimously, because Double Fine was once like the king of the indie scene. And so if they get touched, there's going to be an outroar. Like, and I think Xbox knows it. Like, we can't touch Double Fine. Why not? They don't make much money. Trust me, that is not worth the PR. Because Double Fine is like such a figure in the indie development scene. They literally host a show every year, Day of the Devs, to promote independent developers. And so that's another reason I love these guys. And they just are such a like, they do not, everybody wants them to make a Banjo-Kazooie game. They are like, look, we don't want to make a Banjo-Kazooie game. Therefore, we're not going to make it. Like their next game that they're making, apparently I saw in this documentary or whatever that like, yeah, we had the idea, but we didn't want to make it until we felt like this would be a good game. We literally they didn't want to make this game until they knew it was going to be a good game. That's Double Fine. Like, they are an epitome of just independent development and just a studio making exactly the game that they want. And I feel that from them. And I feel like they're an advocate to that. And that's why it's like, don't touch my baby. So I think, honestly, whatever Double Fine does, I'm here for it. That's who I want to see most. There's a lot of studios at Xbox that Xbox owns now that I do need to get to know more. But I would say Double Fine is the one that's like, I've been only recently introduced to, that I'm like, I need to see everything you do going forward. And I'm looking forward to that on Xbox Game Pass. So, and now we're going to have a good game to wrap this up. But before that, we're going to have a moment with the chat and another question that was sent in that I didn't get to last week that I'm very curious if anybody here has thoughts on. But yeah, I want to also know, if you watch this whole replay, what is your favorite studio that Xbox has? Bobby says, and by anything Bethesda, I mean any of the studios under Bethesda. Oh, well, Bobby, if you had to pick one. I thought of that being the model. I was like, okay, what if what if I pick my favorite Activision Blizzard King studio or team? What if I pick my favorite Bethesda team? And what if I pick my favorite Xbox Game Studios team? And the Bethesda actually, like, id's obviously the one, but the runner-up I thought of is Arcane, Leon. But I feel like I haven't gotten to know that studio enough. But yeah, Bethesda's been a lot of misses for me personally. They're just not my cup of tea is all. And Activision, I don't know. I feel like High Moon may be promising because of the Transformer stuff. Game On Jesse, thank you very much for coming. I prefer third-person traversal games. Right now, Xbox really don't have a studio for that, but I'm excited for South of Midnight and Blade. South of Midnight definitely will hopefully cater to that. Fable looks to hopefully cater to that. Well, you say traversal, so third-person traversal. Yeah, that's a very specific thing. Yeah, I don't think there's really a team that does that super often. I will say, I think there's too much first person going on at Xbox. That's why I really appreciate that Avowed, you can bounce back and forth between first and third person. And Ninja Air, Double Fine is a unique and promising studio. I agree. That's the thing, man. They just feel so unique. It doesn't feel like there's anybody else like Double Fine. So, and Bobby agrees with me on Insomniac for PlayStation. 100%. Yeah. My other question that I didn't hit last week that I thought I would shout out, and then actually I addressed everything from the forum last week. Nobody sent anything this week, but this will be cool because our good game, I have a way to round up everything that everybody sent in last week. So stay tuned for that because it's going to require you, the audience. But let's see if I can do this. So my question that I got last week that I didn't address that I'll hit really quick. It's not really a question. It's just a comment that I don't know if anybody here resonates with. It's from Metal Arm Guy. He said, with the rise of God of War and the upcoming Black Myth Wukong game, I thought it would be interesting to see a more historical fantasy legends-based game like the Knights of the Round Table. The 12 Paladins, etc., with a similar design and quality, it could follow Arthur Pendragon going on a fantastical adventure prior to becoming king as an example. Even a Beowulf one would I find cool. And the thing that I really like about this is, yeah, I feel like the medieval era is something that like just doesn't get, you know, like if it's medieval, it's just a full-blown fantasy game. But we never like get like a truly like a massively marketed big AAA team doing something that is like a medieval game. And so covering something from like the Round Table era, if you will, I don't know. I'd be very curious to see if anybody can make that work. Like, I feel like, you know, something that isn't a real-time strategy, that isn't, I feel like it would be a strategy game of some kind, because that's usually what it is. But it's like, I wonder if anybody can make a really engaging third person or something, like a narrative. I don't know, like just something like God of War-esque, but it has to be grounded. I don't know. That's a potentially interesting thing. So the thing that I wanted to end this with, the good game, is you, the live chat. I need you to drop all the emotes that you can to let me know you're here, because, guys, if you're listening to this replay, we haven't had a guest in this panel. Next week, I do currently, I don't want to say who, I want to make sure they don't feel pressured, but I do have two of my favorite people, well, at least one of my favorite people, coming on next week, so I'm looking forward to that. But this week, I'm with just a live chat. I'm just with the people. And if you were here live, then I would like you to guess these 5 themes that the community submitted. So, this is how this is going to work. You're going to have a few seconds. I will give you like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, if you will, to guess this video game soundtrack. They're all from video games. And we're going to see who gets the most first. So you have to type it fast, and you have to hit it hard. If you're a patron, we just actually did this. If you're like just a level 2 patron, we have a game hangout at the end of the month, and we're going to play Guess the Theme right now, but you have a bit more time. So this is the first game that I don't have who submitted it, but here we go. What is the soundtrack? Where is it from? Who's to say? What I probably should have did is have faster, like, the settings for YouTube. Guess what? I see Devin May already got it. It is indeed Sonic 2. Well done. Good job. I need a... There's the book. Wait. I should have got like a ding sound. Well, actually, well, no, I won't do that live. Okay. Because I'm actually about to make the show an hour. Good job. All right. Good job. So that is 1 for Devin May. 1 for Devin. Let's see who can get track number 2. Also, I don't have the send in, but I think I know who sent this. I have a feeling one of my friends sent this one in. Type it. Type it fast. Are you gonna make Devin get another point? I know for a fact one of you knows this. It is Fall Guys by Devin May, yet again. Steffi was right behind him. Steffi was right behind him. Good job. Damn, Devin's on it, man. But Steffi was right behind, so shout out to her. I'm behind, it's Fall Guys. Yeah, I will say, I guess the internet, like, the thing about this method is going to be about, like, how's everybody's internet and everything, so... But yeah, it was Fall Guys. So, all right, this one, good luck. This is from one of my longtime patrons, Joey Strike. I should actually put on the screen when I have the game. Yeah, I'll do that going forward. You might need to give this one a second. And I kind of hope this one doesn't copyright me. I'm going to skip it a little bit. Give it a moment. I'm skipping ahead. You only get one guess if you type it in the chat. So I am watching the chat right now. You only get one guess. So be careful. This is a tough one. The first two were pretty easy, but this one, good luck. Paragon got it. Like, I'm gonna put it on screen, but it is the Wolfgang's 5th Symphony, which is from Hi-Fi Rush. Well done. That was good. Like, that's like this part. It was just a remix of this symphony, dude. Hi-Fi Rush slapped, man. God damn it. Why did that? Oh god, they had an awesome thing. But yes, that was Hi-Fi Rush. So well done to Paragon, who broke Devin's streak. 2 more. This is Rob from the Gaming Duo podcast. And good luck. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
Just dance with me all through the night. Turn it out. Close to you. I feel good. 'Cause I just know feeling of you. Give it to
Any guesses?
me, baby.
Devin May, Liza P. Damn, Devin's on top of it, man. Everybody, everybody hit it. I just see the chat spamming it now. Oh, Liza P. God damn it. Yeah, it is indeed Liza P. So, damn, that is 3 for Devin. Wow. He's on it. I hope you're not like using like you have the Genie app like against the computer. And then my last one. I have a comment about this, but I'm just gonna play it. This is from Metal Arm Guy.
Les flocons de neige qui brillent dans le ciel nocturne me réconforte. Je t'attends seul dans le noir. Je t'attends depuis trop longtemps. Je peux t'entendre.
Okay, I'm just gonna spoil it. This was a trick one. I just messing with you guys on this one. This was a trick one because it is indeed Lies of P again. There was 2 submissions for Lies of P. There was 2 submissions. I'm guessing Super Toad, you're Metal Arm Guy, but yeah, Rob submitted Lies of P, and you submitted Lies of P. So there was 2 submissions, which was nuts. I saw that and I was like, no way, that's pretty cool. So yeah, but in terms of the 4, Devin May, you got 3 of them, man. Steffi was right behind you on the Fall Guys one. Paragon got 1 of them, but well done to Devin May. Everybody, I need to get an applause thing, but yeah. It's just a bass move. Wait, how about the... Yeah, there you go. But yeah, I see Devin May like, yeah, that tripped me up. I thought that would be fun to just throw at you guys to just mess with you. But ladies and gentlemen, that has been our episode of Good Game. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and please let me know what your favorite studios are at Xbox. What do you think about the Bungie layoff situation, and any feedback you have about this show, Avowed getting delayed, just any of the topics that we had. Please give me your feedback. I genuinely would appreciate it as I go into the show next week. I'm going to hopefully have more sound effects for you. But until then, or Thursday's Final Fantasy VII playthrough, thank you very much. Mel with the last super chat. When you show up in a sleeveless shirt, expect us to want a gun show. I haven't been working out, man. I pulled my back and it sucks. But I will talk to you guys later.